Hi, so today we are going to continue on with the cosine law, but today we are going to look for the angles. So we're going to try to solve for the angles using the cosine law. What we did yesterday, we found the equation that we can use to solve for a side using the cosine law. And the equation was, or one of them, one of the different ones that we found was c squared equals to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. And we can use this formula if I know side A, side B, and angle C. So remember that from the angles. So let's say if I have triangle A, B, C, if I know side A and side B and angle C, right? I can solve for side C using this formula. Now, we are going to see what happens if I'm looking for that angle C. What do I need to do? And how can I change this formula so I can solve for cosine C? So here's the formula. If I want to isolate for cosine C, the first thing I want to do is I want to let's move this over here, all right, over to the other side. And by moving it to the other side, it's going to become a positive. So it's going to be a plus 2ab cosine C equals to a squared plus b squared. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to move the c squared over here. So this way, this term, the one that has the cos c, stays by itself. So I have 2ab cosine c equals to a squared plus b squared. And now it's going to be minus c squared because I am moving over a positive term. It's going to become a minus. Last but not least, you see that what I want this by itself. So in order for me to have this by itself, I need to get rid of the 2ab. So to get rid of the 2ab, because it's 2 times a times b times cosine c, what I need to do is I need to bring the 2ab over as a division, because the opposite operation of multiplication is division. So that's going to be cosine c equals to a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over 2ab. So going from here to here, we don't have to do all of these steps every single time. What you have to remember that you're looking for the angle, so it's going to be cos of the angle that you're looking for, and it's going to be the two sides that are not corresponding to the angle added together minus the corresponding side over 2ab, the non-corresponding sides. So always whatever you're subtracting here is you're going to be subtracting the corresponding side. So let's say if I'm looking for cosine x, and I know x, y, and z, right? It's going to be y squared plus z squared minus x squared, because that's my corresponding side to that angle, divided by 2yz. So you see that the only corresponding side is being subtracted. All right, so what do I need to know and how can I use that equation? So in order for you to be able to use a cosine law, remember yesterday I said there's 2 scenarios where you can use the cosine law with oblique triangles. And one of them is when you have the 2 sides and the contained angle, so the angle between the 2 sides given, and that we learned that yesterday. Today, in order for you to use the cosine law to find for an angle, you need to know all 3 sides. So if you know all 3 sides, you should be able to solve for an angle using cosine law. So this example here is asking you to find angle ACB. So angle ACB is actually angle C. So they want you to solve for angle C, knowing side A, side B, and side C. Make sure you know how to label your triangle, because if you don't know how to label your triangle, your whole work is going to be wrong. So I'm looking for angle C. which means I'm looking for cosine C. Cosine C equals to a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over 2ab. Now what I have to do is I have to sub in the given information. So my a is 10, so it's going to be 10 squared, plus b is 9, so plus 9 squared. Take away c is 6, all over 2 times 10 times 9. Now, my recommendation for you guys, in case you don't have a straightforward calculator that gives you fraction and everything, find the answer for the top, find the answer for the bottom, and then do your division. Don't do your division until you find the answers. So what I have on the top is 10 squared, that's 100, plus 81. So I'm gonna enter the top on the calculator, 10 squared plus 9 squared minus 6 squared. And that's going to be 145 and divided by the bottom. So that's going to be 2 times 10 times 9, and that's going to be 180. So that's going to be 145 over 180. So you see that your answer that you're going to get here, it's going to be a decimal. And then if you're writing a decimal, you're going to have to write it to at least 4 decimal places. So that's going to be 0.80555, so it's going to be 0.56. Now, obviously, this is not my angle, right? This is cosine of C. If I want to find angle C, I have to do the inverse, okay? So to find angle C, you're going to have to do cosine inverse of 0.8056. And that's going to give you 36 degrees. Remember that unless the question says otherwise, so in this case to 1 decimal place, you need to have it to 1 decimal place, so this is 36.3. I usually ask my students for angles, leave it to the nearest degree and not to the nearest 1 decimal place, because then it's going to become more complicated. But here it's asking you to 1 decimal place, so that's going to be 36.3 degrees. So because I have all 3 sides, I can actually find any of the angles. It doesn't have to be only angle C. So I could have asked you to find angle B, or could have asked you to find angle A. It doesn't matter. I have all 3 sides. So the formula changes a little bit, but you can find any of the angles. So these are more examples. Let's do this word problem. So a triangular garden has side length of 4 meter, 3.2 meter, and 2.7 meter. Mr. Graustuff is making a scale diagram of the garden so he can organize the plants. To create the diagram, he needs to determine one of the angles. What is the measure of the angle between the 4 meter and the 3.1 meter side? So what I have here is I have a triangle. And obviously my triangle is not to scale. So I have, we can call it ABC. I have, this is 4 meter. I have 3.2 meter. And I have 2.7 meter. They want me to find the measure of the angle between the side 4 and 3.2. So basically I'm looking for this angle right here, which is angle B. Because I'm looking for angle B, what I need to do is I need to use the formula where I'm looking for cosine B. So first of all, this is side C, this is side B, and this is side A. So because I'm looking for angle B, the formula is going to be cosine B is equal to A squared plus C squared minus B squared over 2AC. You should be able to find these formulas. You should be able to remember how to write it. It's not, it could be any letter. It could be anything that you're using. It's the same process. So let's plug in the information. A is 3.2, so it's going to be 3.2 squared plus 4 squared minus 2.7 squared over 2 times 3.2 times 4. And again, we're going to find the top first and then find the bottom. So the top is going to be 18.95 over and the answer for the bottom is 25.6. When I divide these two, I will get 0.7. So remember, this has to be to 4 decimal place. And that's cosine B. To find angle B, you're going to have to do cosine inverse. That's what we call it, cosine inverse. And to find cosine inverse, you need to do second or shift, whatever is on the calculator. So usually it's right here on the calculator. Mine is like mine is shift. Some of yours are going to be like second or something like this. So I'll do shift and then I press the cosine button, because once I press the cosine button, that will be like the cosine inverse. So on top of the cosine, you see the cosine to the power of -1. So I'll do shift cosine inverse of 0.7402, and that's going to give me 42 degrees. One thing that I want to mention to you guys, if you are dealing with word problems, it's always good to have a therefore statement at the end. So therefore, the angle between side 4 and side 3.2 is 42 degrees. Another thing is make sure that you include diagram. Make sure you include units, okay? These are measurements. Units make a difference. If it's centimeter, meter, kilometer, feet, whatever, they are not the same. So please make sure you include units. Okay, I hope this is clear and this is not bad for you guys. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me.